Welcome back, everyone. Again, this is Bryce Newberger with Summit Ridge Church of the youth group, The Commission. So as we said in the first video, we're going to be going through a series of videos. This is video 2, where we start to get into the process. The first video was more of an introduction as to why we're going through this process, who I am, how I developed it, the scriptural reasoning for it. If you haven't seen video 1, you don't necessarily need to go back and watch it. If you're already on board, if you're like, no, like we're good. But if you're interested in this and you want to know why we're going through this, the scriptural reasoning, who I am, how I developed this, why I think this is a good approach, then I wholeheartedly encourage you to pause this video, go back, watch video 1, and then come back here. Each video is going to be short. It's going to be about 10 to 15 minutes, hopefully not to exceed 20 minutes on sometimes where I get long-winded. So in the interest of all that, let's dive into this thing. So the process that we began to discuss was moving large to small. A lot of times Christians, they try to answer questions. And like I said in the last video, it's like whack-a-mole or like Minesweeper. You just try to like pop up everything as it comes. Like in Minesweeper, you just kind of go one mine at a time until there's no more mines left. Human reasoning doesn't really work that way. What will happen is you'll answer a good question for someone, but then more questions will pop up in their head, more doubts, other reasons that you didn't get to explain because they didn't ask you, maybe that you just didn't have the time to answer them. So what's important is why it's so important is to work big to small is because as you look at the full field of view, you can then whittle down everything. And so if you look at the large scale picture, and then as you build up your reasoning to them and you wholeheartedly cut out sections of the world you're trying to explain, then when other doubts and reasons pop up in these areas you've already covered, they're already negated, hopefully, by the way that you've moved big to large. So there's good ways to do that, and there's bad ways to do that. And sometimes when we're going big to small, someone will have an objection about something that is in the bigger picture that you're trying to move past. So you want to address that first. So what we want to focus on is how to move large to small. So the first thing that I see a lot of people get wrong, and this isn't just Christians, this is atheists, agnostics, open deists, everyone, is they disagree on whether there's a God or not. So a lot of Christians, they want to start with Jesus, and can't fault them for it. Jesus is wholeheartedly the pinnacle of the Christian religion. It all falls apart without Jesus as far as Christianity goes. The namesake is Christ. But before you can get to Jesus, you have to focus on the fact of whether or not there's a God. So I was listening to a debate between William Lane Craig and Richard Hitchens, and it was a great debate. But I've listened to it a few times, and the biggest problem with the debate that's out there, I encourage you to go give it a listen. It's great. Is that William Lane Craig is doing this big to small thing in this debate. Now, his goal isn't to, in this whole debate, like cover all of Christianity. He wants to answer a question for the audience and for Richard Hitchens. And so he starts with the big picture that there's a God. So there's two premises. One, there is no God. And two, there is a God. Now, whether you want to call him a God or not, there is some sort of deity that is out there. So there either is a deity or there isn't a deity. So the problem is when you start with the Judeo-Christian deity and you start trying to go down, you start far down that path, the opponent, or it's not fair to call him opponent, especially when it's not a debate, but the person you're discussing with, they might not agree on the Judeo-Christian God, and they could very well be an open deist. And so you have to narrow it down first. You have to answer the question that, is there a God? And so in this debate with William Lane Craig and Richard Hitchens, the problem is that William Lane Craig is trying to say that he's having a debate, and the debate is there a good reason to believe in God? Is there more reason to believe in a God than there is to believe in no God? So theism versus atheism. deity or no deity. So William Lane Craig lays out a lot of great reasons for there to be a God and how that works in cosmology, and it's a lot of great reasons he gives. But the problem that we have is that when Richard Hitchens gets up, he is having a completely different debate. His debate is on whether the deity that we're proposing is a good or bad deity. He begins to list, if there's a God, here's all the problems with evolution, and he must be evil, he must be a tyrant, and he doesn't at all refute William Lane Craig's evidence of a God, of there being a God, whether it be any God, Allah or Jesus or any other religion out there, Mormonism, Jehovah's Witness, whether the various takes on Jesus. He doesn't really refute the fact that there is a God. He just says, well, I can't really prove that there's not a God. But if there is a God, then he's a big, big meanie. And so William Lane Craig, when he comes back up to give his rebuttals, he's like, okay, so you're not debating what we came here to debate, is basically his premise. He's saying, okay, so you're not refuting that there's evidence for a God. You're merely stating that the God that there is a mean God. And then from there, William Lane Craig starts to defend Christianity. So out there in the world, when I run across people, a lot of times they hear I'm a Christian, they want to talk about Jesus. They hear I'm a Christian, they want to attack the Bible, and we can't even begin to discuss Jesus, and we can't even begin to discuss the Bible in any true sense, in any meaningful manner. Like, the idea is that, yes, I could have a discussion about anything. I could shut them down. I could give reasons, but what's the end goal? What's the purpose here? Is your purpose to win a debate, or is the purpose to spread the truth? If the purpose is to win a debate, that's very easy for Christians to do. There's a lot of great ways that people who come against Christianity don't read the Bible very well. So a lot of times they're coming from a false premise, or they're just understudied, or it's a question that is very easy. And so when I engage in these conversations, it's very easy to shut people down. And sadly, a lot of times when I have a discussion with people, because it's coming from such an antagonistic point of view, when I start off, I have to kind of play whack-a-mole. I have to kind of shut them down to show them that I'm a reasonable person and that we can have a good debate, and kind of open their mind a little bit and how closed-minded they were, that they can get more from me than they're expecting. But it's not really a good way. It's not really a good environment for discussion. It's not a good environment for sharing ideas. And so really what you want to do is, it's not about defeating an opponent in a debate. It's about sharing the truth, and sharing the truth in a way that's understanding. When I was working in call centers and IT, a lot of people that I would train, as I got involved in training, they became focused on defeating a combative customer. So when a customer would get on the line, they'd be upset that their TV wasn't working, or the internet was out, or something like that. The goal of the call is to give them the truth. Give them the information that will save them from their issue. And what I would see people do in the training bays is they would be so focused on the antagonism of the customer that their goal was to prove the customer wrong and shut the customer down. And very rarely did that actually result in a successful call. What really happened is you broke rapport with the customer. You encouraged them to want to, disconnect their service, and you only made them more upset and more frustrated and feel more powerless about the issue they were having. So the same is true when it comes to Christianity and talking with people. Our goal shouldn't be to beat them in a debate. The goal is to share the truth in a way that's easy for them to grasp. So where you want to start in this is you want to start with big to small. Is there a God? Don't focus on the Judeo-Christian God. Don't focus on Jesus. Don't focus on the Holy Spirit. Don't even focus on the Bible, because your opponent, again, I hate that I say opponent, your participant in conversation is probably not on board yet with the Bible. So to quote from the Bible something that they don't believe isn't going to be all convincing to them. So you want to start with just basic reasons for there being a God in general. And so we'll start with basically the evolutionary record. There's a little clip I'll play right here.
Life, as we know it, is only possible for 1,000th of a billion billionth of a percent.
And so that clip talks about the possibility of life being in the billionth of the billionth percentile. What that means is that they've developed a system for describing the world. And so these people, starting with, Darwinism, a little bit before Darwin, because other people, he was the brainchild of, other philosophers. He was just the end result. When it came to that, they wanted to develop a system for explaining the world without God. And so they worked on developing a system. So now we get to evaluate that system. We know that there is life, right? Because we're here. So everything kind of focuses on that. All the best arguments I've heard focus on the fact that we are here. So let's start there. How did we get here? So you have to develop a theory of how we got here, and then we have to ask ourselves: are we going with the highest likely theory? According to modern science, the possibility of life, according to their methods, is in the billionth of a percentile, which means that they've developed a system that is that percent correct. Like so we're here, that's a fact. So what are the chances that the system they've developed is a good system to describe how we got here? Well, they will even say themselves that according to their system, it is not very likely that we're here. Since we know we are here, then you have to decide, okay, are you believing in the miracle of life developed by their system? Or are you... Or is it better to believe in intelligent design, that there is a creator who created everything? And because we know we're here, if there is a creator who designed everything, then the chances that we're here is 100% because he put us here on purpose. If there is not a creator and we had to evolve from, nothing, then the chances that we're here are in the billionth percentile. So when it comes to arguing whether or not there's a God, just looking at simple cosmology and just philosophy in general, which are you going to take? Are you going to choose a miracle that the chances that we're here is in the billionth percentile, or are you going to go with 100%? Intelligent design promotes that there is 100% possibility that we're here, and we're here. Non-intelligent design, or I shouldn't say design at all this chaotic mass that came together through the evolutionary theory is the billionth percentile that it happened. So I would say that according to their own evaluation, trying to develop a system without intelligent design is flawed. It is the least likely scenario. And it's funny, there's a video I was watching, which I'll link in the description, and it's a journey through our future. And they're saying that our entire world, through the bang of energy that came in the Big Bang, everything had energy. Well, energy decays. So slowly over time, we are losing energy. Yes, there's systems in the world that recycle that energy, but not efficiently. Energy is lost with every cycle. And so the idea is that eventually, if you watch this video, it's not a Christian video, it's wholly an atheistic video. But the video, according to modern science and modern philosophy of cosmology, will explain that as energy dies out, eventually all the stars in the universe will run out of energy. Everything will turn into singularities and black holes. Eventually, the mass and matter of black holes themselves will break down, and there will be a death of all black holes. And finally, it'll all spiral into nothing. And that if we want to escape this impending doom that is coming, then their premise in this video, it's 30 minutes long, but you should really watch it. The music's great. Their premise is that in order to escape the doom, is that universes out there, that there's a multiverse, and that multiverses that just happen to have the right percentage for life will have to develop new universes that are designed for life. So even from a standpoint, even from their own standpoint of saying that there is no intelligent design, the way to save the world is to design new universes that are designed. So it's a little bit of a self-refuting argument, is that this universe couldn't have possibly existed. There's a billionth in the billionth percentile that it does exist. And so in order to escape the impending doom, we need other people to design universes. By their own premise, it won't just naturally happen. More universes won't spiral out and be created randomly unless someone intentionally designs them. So there's a lot of great arguments. That's my most famous one. These videos really aren't about giving you all the facts and all the reasons. It's more about just the process of talking to people. There's a lot of great people out there you can go listen to. I highly recommend Christ, Culture, and Coffee by Robbie Lashua, and that's on Spotify. It's a great apologetic podcast you can listen to. Look up William Lane Craig or other things put on by Biola University, which is a university for apologetics. There's a lot of cool stuff, and the best thing you can do too is listen to what Christians would consider the opposition. Listen to the other side of the argument, because my two favorite reasons that I just gave you did not come from Christian sources. It came from listening to the opposition and then pointing out their logic. They say it for themselves. They're the ones who say that there is a billionth percent chance that we're here. And look at it, we're here. So we're a little bit over 15 minutes. I don't want to go over 20. So just to sum up, in working big to small, the first thing you want to start with is there a God? The moment you can whittle down that there is a God, that there is more reason to believe in a God, it takes more faith to believe that there is no God. You have to believe in the billionth percentile that life exists, that their process would create life, as opposed to intelligent design. The common argument that's brought up is the watchmaker. If someone in an island who has no idea of technology or anything comes across a watch on a beach, they're not going to assume that watch evolved over time, that the sands on the shore and the rocks and everything hardened to metal and became complex clockwork. The fingerprint of design is very obvious in our universe, and so the analogy of the watchmaker is to say that it takes more faith to believe that watch created itself than it does to believe that there's a watchmaker. And so the people of greater faith obviously are the atheistic, materialistic naturalists, the people who believe that in the billionth percentile, that all this just happened to happen. I don't have enough faith for that. I'm not a man of that great faith to believe that. I have to sit with reason and philosophy and say that the proof is in the pudding. The proof is that there is intelligent design, and so there is a God. So with all that being taken care of, we can now agree that, if you can get someone on board with you, you're going to have to study cosmological arguments a little bit better. But once you work past this point, there is a God. So the next step past this is then going to be focusing on the fact that who that God is. Of all the gods, of all the religions, which one do we pick? Which one has the most reason? So that's step 2 we're going to discuss in the next video. So again, just the closing part on this video is we've moved from big to small. There is either a God or there's not a God. We've now cut off half of all of the arguments. Now there can only be a God. So there's no point talking about which God, who God, what God, until you really pin down the fact that there is 100% a God, or at least that's where the evidence leads us. So you're going to be wasting your time getting into the Bible, quoting Jesus, quoting philosophy, quoting any of that, because the person hasn't even agreed yet that there is a God. So that's why you go big to small. So all of a sudden, the huge picture is just cut in half, and every process is going to cut it more and more until there is just one sole reason that we lean on, and we have good reason for it. So I hope this has been encouraging. I hope, again, this video is not designed to be comprehensive in cosmology and philosophy and all that kind of stuff. So I hope it's encouraged you to reach out and study these things. So that's it for now. Look forward to the next video. I hope you guys have a God bless day.